Chapter 4, Safe or Sorry? Charles backed up a step. Well, sir, I have some good news and some bad news. He swallowed hard as the Admiral came within a paw's reach of him. And I'm sure that if you listen, it would be better, much better than eating a poor mouse like me. The Admiral smiled. Rest assured, good fellow, I am well fed in the Queen's service and will gladly refrain from eating you. As they say, feed the cat, save the mouse. Ha ha. Charles sighed in relief. He pulled out the golden earring and handed it to the Admiral. Then he hopped onto the table and told Admiral Winchester the reason for his strange visit. Before long, they were interrupted by Mr. Calico, who carried the Admiral's milk. Yes, come in, Mr. Calico. The sailor set the mug down. He raised one eyebrow at the sight of a mouse on the table. Admiral Winchester turned to him. Mr. Calico, perhaps you were wondering about this strange conversation. Oh, no, not at all, sir. You do frustrate me, Mr. Calico, the Admiral smiled at Charles. I believe that Mr. Calico is the least curious of all cats. Mr. Calico, this mouse has some most interesting news. Apparently, we are being watched by sea dogs on the other side of the island. Sea dogs? Yes, the sea dogs of the herringbone. Pirates, I believe you said. The Admiral turned to Charles. Quite correct, sir. A nasty lot, said Charles. These scoundrels are lurking behind Sangato. The Admiral continued. They are waiting for the treasure to come on board before they... Another enormous shadow loomed across the wall. Yow! Shrieked the Admiral. Oliver, squeaked Charles. The plump mouse stood on the window ledge, looking timid. Nice place you have here, Mr. Admiral, sir. Quickly, Charles introduced Oliver, and his friend scrambled down to join them on the table. Admiral Winchester took a long drink of his warm milk. Then he continued, as I was saying, Mr. Calico, as soon as we bring up the gold, those pirates will be upon us. Here they are. There's the captain and Mr. Calico and Charles and Oliver. But we are safe enough until we have found the treasure, asked Mr. Calico. The Admiral pulled the golden earring out of his vest. Mr. Calico, we have found the treasure. Now even Mr. Calico looked curious. Where, sir? Our two small friends happened upon it not 300 yards from this spot, the Admiral said. He narrowed his eyes. And Mr. Calico, I believe we should make every effort to bring that treasure up tonight. Everyone on the crew agreed with Admiral Winchester. All of them wanted to help rescue the Queen's treasure, and none of them wanted to tangle with pirate sea dogs. If they could just pick up the treasure that night, they could slip away unnoticed. The Admiral gathered his crew in a dimly lit cabin below deck. He spoke in a whisper. Remember, my good fellows, we must do this job in silence. Let each cat go about his task, as it were, as quietly as a mouse. The Admiral nodded at Charles and Oliver, then he chuckled. The cats nodded too, with polite chuckles all around. Well then, he continued, are there any questions? Aye, forgive me for asking, said one old sailor, but just how are we going to latch onto this treasure in the middle of the night so's we can pull it up into the ship? Ah, yes, the Admiral smiled. I knew I'd forgotten something. Our brave friends here, Charles and Oliver, have kindly agreed to do the special sort of diving. We're going to do what? Oliver whispered hoarsely to Charles.